Hi there, Mark here, and welcome to the next in the series of the Budapest Chronicles. Here I am outside number 4 Veselényi utca, which is a very important landmark for me. This is the office, or the former office anyway, of the company that I used to work for when I first arrived here in Budapest. And I'm going to take you a little walk around the neighbourhood to give you some kind of an idea of the landscape and the architecture of this particular area. It's actually in an amazing part of basically the 7th district, which is the former Jewish Ghetto area in Budapest. And right behind me, you can see, is the Synagogue. So this was the view that I had when I was looking outside my former office window, which is just right above me up here, and I could see right down and across into the largest, and I think the second largest synagogue in Central Europe, which has obviously got a huge amount of history behind it. But at the time of arrival in '96, I had absolutely no idea of the history. Particularly, I hadn't done that much groundwork into it, and I want to show you now the backdrop to give you an idea of the splendour of this amazing synagogue, which is the one major landmark outside the office that I used to work in. So this is just the outside area. As you can see, there are many memorials and statues outside, and I just want to take you around here a little bit to give you an insight into the splendour of it. And we're going to go around into the main area in a second. But this whole area has huge significance from many perspectives, both religious, in terms of, the impact of this community or the city during the Second World War, and of course in terms of social justice, but we're not going to go into that right now. But let's just look at the sheer scale of this synagogue, and I'm going to get into a little bit more perspective right now as I move away to give you an idea of the sheer scale of this place. So as you can see, it's pretty amazing. And I did actually go inside for a couple of services and for a walk around to just get a feeling of the place, and it's absolutely huge. And if I can just show you some of the placards here as well. So you can see. So I'm going to also walk you around the area a little bit, because to me, at the age of, I was sort of early 30s when I arrived here, I had absolutely no concept of the kind of environment I was stepping into. I mean, yeah, you can read up a little bit about the history of Hungary, and I did, but like all things, until you actually go to the city itself and actually arrive, you're never going to get a real taste of it. And this is exactly what happened to me. So in the early years, this place was just like a walking in history. And most of the cities, as you know now in Europe, are really tourist spots for the major Asian invasion of tourism. But still, to live amongst these places is absolutely incredible. And there's one area that I do want to show you. Let me just give you a little bit more of the background before I take you into the ghetto area itself. There's the the tree of life here, which you're going to see, which is also amazing. So here we are in the, as I say, the old Jewish Ghetto, 7th district. And I'm going to just take you a little bit further around so you can get a little bit of a feeling of this. It is a bit like Paris. It does have a feeling of Paris. And there are parts of it which are very, also very, I would say, kind of Turkish feeling. But there's also a Western side to it as well. It's a real combination. Because, to be honest with you, Hungary had, or has, so many different people from all over Europe living here. And so there's obviously a flavour of that in the city. But if you can just imagine, I suppose, to put this into context, coming from the UK, of course now, I mean, travelling anywhere in the world is not such a huge thing, but at the time, this was just absolutely, it was just a shift into another world. And there's been so many changes here. This is one particular road that has a lot of significance to me, and it's called Shiputsa. And Shiputsa is, well, as you can see, it's a very small little side street. But if you look at some of the doorways, the architecture here is absolutely phenomenal. Now, Shiputsa, as I'm just walking down it, has a special meaning to me because this is the site of one of the businesses I set up here. Later, I'm jumping a little bit ahead because I just happen to be walking down this road. But if you can see here, this is Pricewaterhouse. It's a big financial institute, accountancy firm. And there's not much else on this particular road. But I was given the opportunity to operate a business outside of this particular unit here, which is now some form of clothes shop. But at the time when I set it up, I operated it as a kind of language school, because the Hungarian language is a million miles away from, I think, even any other language. I think only Finnish probably comes anywhere close to it. And therefore, when I said open those doors, I did quite well out of it, really, because of the location and, of course, obviously the need for people to improve their language skills. But so this is just Shiputsa. I'm jumping ahead because there's one area I want to show you while I am in this area right now, and that is here. It's called the Gojdu passageway. And when I arrived here in '96, this was literally gated. This area was just a gateway. And apparently it was owned by the church. I think it was the church anyway. And it was just basically an empty passageway, something you'd see in a 1930s thriller. And the apartments, let me just quickly show you the walkways. I mean, this is something you'd see only in films. I mean, it's just absolutely, the stairwell, the lift, it's all absolutely retro. And these are apartments now. And as you can see, I'm just going to flick the camera around. It's all turned into, basically a night zone for mostly tourists and students and the odd local who fancies a night out. I mean, this is amazing. When I walked down here, you literally had just a grey slab of concrete and nothing else. And it was spooky because it was literally bolted through the entirety of the time I was there. And I think maybe the last few years into the early 2000s, they started to do renovation. And now it's a huge hotspot for, as I said, for drinks, evenings, and nightlife, basically. So this city has really evolved since I was here. And it just gives you a little bit of a flavour of the real cross-cultural and I suppose evolution of the city, because this is really, as you can see now, has developed into bars, restaurants, and I'm going to show you now. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see all of these clubs, restaurants, bars, and this is just lunchtime now, so it's very early and it's on a Tuesday morning, so of course there's no real life going on as we speak right now. So this gives you a flavour of what is actually happening in the city today. I just thought I would share it with you because, as you can see, I've come from like the Jewish Ghetto area, which was just kind of nothing, and a huge synagogue which has actually had a lot of investment into it, of course a lot of tourism coming over, into a sprawling area of new apartments and clubs and bars, and just absolutely spectacular. So is there a message to all this video? I don't really know. It's quite a long video as well, and I really haven't touched the surface in terms of stories behind it, and there are quite a few ones that come to mind, but really it's just that I suppose at the time of me being here, I was in this kind of transitional period of being, I suppose, being in a state of change where I really didn't know how my, how things were going to shape out. I really was new to the city, and I didn't really know anybody. I arrived, as I said in my previous video, in sort of the winter of '96, which apparently was the coldest winter for the last 20 years. And when I say cold, I had about 2 duvets and I was shaking. And I was staying in an old apartment in the hills, of which I will take you to in another video. And, it was predominantly old people living in these apartments. And, they got up out of bed at 5 a.m, and you heard absolutely everything. Miserable, to be honest with you. Cold, damp, noisy, on a hill. So when it got cold, it got icy, and therefore it was another like a death trap just walking up and down the hill. In fact, I think I was probably here in 3 months and I slipped, damaged my knee, couldn't really walk. I was limping everywhere, and the company, fortunately for me, set a cab or a taxi or even a driver, I can't remember now, to come and collect me every day, which was quite an experience then. But really that was it for, I would say, at least three months. I was just living this kind of transitional period of being, getting used to a language which is nigh on impossible, a culture that really I didn't understand. That would take a lot longer. People's behaviour and systems and processes which were just absolutely alien. And I suppose one of the things that does come to my mind is that the only bit of light-hearted entertainment I got was that on the TV that the apartment had, there was one channel, only one channel, with English at the time, which was like a godsend. And it was CNN, and they had a film coming up, I think it was 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening. And that was basically it. I didn't have internet then, and yeah, of course I had books and things, but really nothing so spectacular as we have right now. And yeah, it was CNN films. And of course, that didn't change every night. It was often repeats. So it was quite a sort of a hard period. And then, as I will evolve, as the story will evolve, things started to open up, and I'm going to share those with you in the next video. But I just wanted to leave you a little bit with some of the backdrop, the contrasting shapes and and architecture of this city. This is a hotel, which is quite kind of a kind of Art Deco-y style hotel. And next to it is a place that I used to go to quite a bit with my friends. Is one of the common sights now in Budapest is what they call is a beer garden. And these are kind of really funky open spaces where lots of people tend to hang out when the weather's good and have a beer or three and enjoy themselves. This is another cocktail bar that exists called the Backyard, and you can see right next door to the hotel I've just shown you. We have another garden. So all of this is going on in the city, which makes it, quite an interesting place. Anyway, so that's it for me for this video. It's been a bit of a long one, but there are so many things to show you, to be honest with you. I just wanted to give you a flavour of the city. So until next one, see you soon. Bye.